we're back with another university segment of the REIMAGINE 2020 Virtual Blockchain Conference. I'm Ashlie Meredith, Head of Education at MouseBelt Blockchain Accelerator, and I'm here with Alex Yates, formerly at Draper University. We're here to talk about the importance of entrepreneurship education and what we've both seen as far as the early stage companies that are popping up in the blockchain space. Alex, great to have you. How are you doing?
Great, awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get interested in blockchain, and what did you do specifically with startups, blockchain or not, over at Draper University?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first, entrance into blockchain dealt from my finance background. So I worked with a financial advisor and an accountant and dove really deep into finance, traded stocks, currencies, and options and cryptos. And so that's sort of what got me into blockchain and how I heard about it. I think it was back in maybe about 2016, and yeah, so just I dove into it with a good friend of mine, and at that point it was super new. There was no one really talk to about it in my network, so it was just me and my best friend. We were just diving into head first into it. So we got an S9 antminer, and we started mining for about a year and a half, and that's sort of what triggered sort of the blockchain. I guess blockchain in my world for sure.
Great, yeah. So you kind of had a tangential interest in blockchain. Your main focus was working with startups in general. Can you tell me a bit more about what you did at Draper?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the privilege of working here at Draper University. Just finished up last month for about a year and a half. Worked with many different startups, a lot in the blockchain space as well, but very early stage companies. So a lot of them were first time founders. But as well, we saw a pretty wide variety of blockchain applications as well. And I've been involved in or been in the sort of blockchain ecosystem in the Bay Area for a while. San Francisco Blockchain Week, and a lot of other startups in the space as well.
Yeah, and so we've worked a little bit together in the past and kind of worked in similar roles. MouseBelt University is my project at the MouseBelt Blockchain Accelerator, where we really had this idea that a lot of innovation was probably coming out of universities, and the early stage startups would have a much greater chance of success the earlier that we intervene. So we have educational courses on blockchain development, blockchain business, and I do a course on blockchain leadership, which is just how to talk about these concepts, how to throw events, how to network, why is blockchain important, the social impact, things like that. And we've sponsored some hackathons at Draper University in the past and got to see what those people were working on. And there was a handful of blockchain projects. Pretty much every time I saw you guys do a hackathon or a demo day, there would be a handful of blockchain startups. What were some of the trends that you saw as far as what people are working on right now?
Yeah, great, observation. Definitely many blockchain projects that have been involved. I would say in terms of trends, one thing I always see, and actually I want to say something beforehand as well. I think not many people say this after speakers or whatever conference there is. Not many people say this, but this is something that I think is super important to know, is that everything that I say is contextual. So I think so many people are quick to give advice or say things, but like everything in terms of what I say or my viewpoint on blockchain or anything is contextual to my background and experience. I just want to set that forward in terms of I'm not trying to give advice, but that's not supposed to be there. But anyway, so yeah, in terms of what I've seen in the blockchain space, a lot of the early stage companies, they're so focused on the actual technology as opposed to solving a real problem. So they're going to say, hey, I'm going to start this blockchain company, as opposed to finding a real use case in the real world that solves a real problem. And so I think, even a lot of these layer one solutions, a lot of these, and there's so many layer one solutions out there in terms of actual blockchains that you can build on. And you're seeing a lot of these companies, start to find their own use cases, their own use cases to start to build on, because the general application for layer one I don't think it's fully there yet. I think until we get to a point where I always love to, history repeats itself, so I like to think about blockchain as sort of the internet, like in 1994 or 1996. So I think we're close to that stage now, and it's still super early, and I think there's no mainstream adoption really yet. And I think the biggest thing we're seeing is the sort of trading platforms like Coinbase and Robinhood and Binance really started to take off. But in terms of actual real applications to solve real problems, there's still a big, a big gap there. So yeah, so one thing I've seen is that, a lot of these early stage founders focus on using, getting excited about technology, which is great, except, there's not, what I've seen is like, starting any successful company is all about, solving the problem that a customer has. So I think, what we're going to see, and what I've seen in the overall environment is, I think finance is a big area that's going to see a lot of growth over these next 3 years. I think there's a lot of great applications right now for data, in terms of storing data, in terms of, like health records or whatever this stuff. But I think that's gonna still be further down the line. I think what you're gonna see much more now is a lot more finance applications in terms of like accounting, basic accounting or just very simple finance use cases. Whether it's selling B2B, I think you're going to see a lot more success with the B2B companies selling in finance as opposed to B2C, because just the B2C market is so crowded now, and I think a lot of that market has already been forged out through all these platforms that I mentioned, like Robinhood and Coinbase and what's that one company that the Winklevoss brothers are doing. And anyway, so yeah, Gemini, yeah. So anyways, that's what I've seen.
Yeah, that's awesome. It kind of brings me to another point I wanted to discuss in this interview about entrepreneurship education. Something that we've seen as well. A question we like to ask people is, do you have a blockchain app on your phone right now that is not a wallet or an exchange?
No, no. And that's yeah, totally.
Most people say no.
Right.
I have one. I don't even use it though. It's a chat app on the EOS platform, Sense Chat. I know some of the people who work there, and I know a lot of the EOS fanboys, and I do like some of the projects on that platform, or at least the philosophies behind them. So kind of pay attention there. But besides that, I wouldn't be able to answer that question either. So what we're trying to do at MouseBelt is really think about what problems does blockchain solve? Who is actually using it? What enterprises are investigating it? And really focus on those real world use cases, because we are excited about the tech as well, but we are also an accelerator and an entrepreneurs, and we understand that these blockchain has to actually solve a problem for a customer. And so I think that brings me to the point of maybe this is something, a message we would want to send to the blockchain space, or to people who care about the space and who care about blockchain education in general, that it goes so far beyond just understanding the technical underpinnings. A comprehensive blockchain education may need to include something like entrepreneurship education, or like our blockchain and business course. Maybe you can just share with our viewers some of your philosophies about the importance of entrepreneurship education, some of the things that you saw at Draper University, and what you think the impact of that could be on the blockchain space or the world in general.
Yeah, great point. I think on the point around focusing on the tech rather than the actual use cases, so even going around to ask, I encourage many people to do this. I go out and actually do this, and I would probably say maybe 1% of people who see this will actually do it. But go out on the street, go ask 10 people. They see. Well, I guess it's coronavirus season right now, but it's probably not the best time. But once the dust settles, go out on the street, ask 10 people. If they even know what blockchain is, or people probably, a lot more people know what Bitcoin is as opposed to blockchain. But I think to achieve mass adoption, we're gonna have to, like back to the early internet days. There's all the geeks who understood the tech. Like this is, getting excited about the tech. Like, your average customer is not gonna care about, what blockchain they're using. They're not gonna care about the block time or the block speed. They're not gonna care about how scalable the blockchain is. They're not even, so they're not gonna care about any of these things. They're just gonna care about, does this solve the problem that I have better than anything else out there? And so that's what I've seen with that. And then in terms of like how blockchain is going to evolve over the next set of entrepreneurs, I think there's huge potential. You're seeing a lot of some of the brightest and best talent out there get into the space and continue to get into the space. And like I said, I think it's super early, and so a lot of the applications, I think it's super early. This is a much longer term game than people realize, and it's going to be super exciting to see what comes out of blockchain over the next decade.
Absolutely.
You're tuned in to Reimagine 2020. Stay tuned to learn more about the state of the art in blockchain education and technological development all around the world. Reimagine 2020.